Welcome to the Saloon of Amarillo. Big blind is $4. The small blind is $2. The gentleman calls.
I fold.
The lady calls. The gentleman calls. The gentleman calls.
Fold.
I raise.
I fold.
I fold.
The gentleman calls. Turn.
Check.
River.
Fold.
The gentleman wins $112.
Fold.
Fold. Fold.
Raise.
That's a lot to bet. I fold.
I fold.
The gentleman calls. Player checks. Turn. The river.
Sorry, I won.
I fold.
Wow, I'm shaking.
raise.
The gentleman calls. The gentleman calls. Check.
I check.
I check.
I check.
I check.
I check.
Raise.
Fold.
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 River.
Raise.
All in $228. Split pot. The big blind is raised to 8. The small blind is river.
I check.
The gentleman wins $112. The gentleman calls.
I fold.
I raise.
Fold.
The gentleman calls. Turn.
I check.
Player check. River.
I check. Fold.
The gentleman wins $188.
Fold.
Raise.
Fold.
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 That's a lot to bet.
Fold.
The flop. Turn.
Fold.
The gentleman wins $76.
Fold.
The gentleman calls.
I check.
I check.
I check.
Raise. Oh man, I'm doing good.
The big blind is raised to 12. The small blind is the madam calls. The miss calls.
Fold.
The gentleman calls. The flop.
I check.
I check.
Fold.
Fold. Fold.
Fold.
Fold. Fold.
Fold.
I fold.
The madam calls.
Fold.
I fold.
Check.
Check. Turn.
I check.
I raise. The gentleman calls. River.
Check.
I check. All in $139. The miss wins $375.
I fold.
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 The gentleman calls.
Fold.
The gentleman calls. The flop.
I check.
Player checks. Turn. The madam calls. The lady calls. The gentleman wins $572. This player is out of money. Has left the table.
Wow, I'm shaking.
I fold.
The flop.
Check. I check.
Raise.
Fold.
I fold.
I fold.
Check.
Check.
The miss calls. The winner takes $408. The big blind is raised to 16. Small blind is $. The gentleman calls.
I fold. Check.
Flop.
Check.
I check.
Player checks.
Raise.
Fold. I fold.
Man, I am good.
The madam wins. Player has left the table. The gentleman calls. The lady calls. The gentleman calls.
Raise.
The gentleman calls. The lady calls. The flop.
Raise.
I fold.
I fold.
Check.
Check.
Raise. Oh man, I'm doing good.
This player is out of money. Has left the table.
Raise.
I fold.
The gentleman calls. Flop.
I raise.
Fold.
The gentleman calls. Turn. The gentleman wins $324. The lady calls. The gentleman calls. The flop.
I fold.
I fold.
Turn.
I raise. I fold.
The river. Split pot. The big blind is raised to 20. The small blind is. The lady calls.
I raise.
Fold.
Raise.
The gentleman calls.
Check.
Player checks.
I raise.
Sorry, I won.
The gentleman calls. The lady calls. The madam calls.
I check.
I check.
Raise.
I fold.
The gentleman calls. Turn.
Check.
Fold.
Fold.
The gentleman wins $271.
Fold.
I fold. Raise. Check.
All in $63.
Sorry, I won.
The miss calls.
Fold. That's a lot to bet.
The gentleman calls.
I check.
The flop.
Raise.
I fold.
I check.
Raise.
All in $184. The miss wins $400. This player is out of money. Has left the table. The big blind is raised to $30. The gentleman calls.
Fold.
Fold. I check. Raise. Hee-haw! Give me the chips.
The gentleman calls. The gentleman calls.
Fold. I raise.
The gentleman calls. Flop.
I check.
Turn.
Raise.
Fold.
Hey, I'm doing pretty well.
The gentleman calls. The lady calls.
I raise.
All in $79. Turn.
I check.
Check.
I check.
I'm doing pretty well.
The miss wins $267.
I fold.
Flop.
I raise.
Fold.
I knew I was good.
The big blind is raised to $50.
Check. I check.
I check.
Check.
Raise.
The gentleman calls. The river.
I raise.
The gentleman calls. Turn. River.
Man, I'm good.
This player is out of money. Has left the table.
Check. Fold.
The gentleman wins $150. The gentleman calls.
I check.
The gentleman calls. All in $1,380. The gentleman wins $839. This player is out of money. Has left the table. Big blind is $12. Small blind is $6. The gentleman calls. I fold.
Oh, goodness. I am
I
shaking.
check. I check.
I check.
The river.
I raise.
I gotcha.
The miss wins $84.
Fold.
The madam calls. I raise. The lady calls. Player checks. Fold. The lady calls. The gentleman wins $421. I fold.
I fold.
The gentleman calls.
I check. I check. fold.
I fold.
The gentleman calls. I check.
I check.
Raise. The miss wins $144.
Fold.
I check.
Raise. The gentleman calls. Check.
I raise.
All in with $100. Player checks.
I gotcha.
The gentleman wins $312. The gentleman calls.
I fold.
I check.
All in $61. The gentleman wins $134. This player is out of money. Has left the table.
Fold.
Raise.
The gentleman calls. The flop. Player checks. Turn.
Check.
Player checks.
Look out for me.
The miss calls. The gentleman calls.
I check.
I check.
River.
I check.
Well, that's a lot to bet. Raise.
Fold.
Sorry, I won.
The gentleman calls. The flop.
Raise.
The gentleman calls. Turn.
I raise.
The gentleman calls.
Check.
Raise.
I fold.
Hey, I'm doing pretty well.
Fold.
The miss calls. Player checks. The river.
I fold.
Fold.
The gentleman wins $48. The gentleman calls. The miss calls. The gentleman calls.
I check. I raise.
I
Fold.
The gentleman calls. Turn. All in with $360. The gentleman wins $614. This player is out of money. Has left the table. The gentleman calls.
I raise. Hoo-ha! Give me the chips.
Player checks.
Raise.
I fold.
Look out for me.
Check.
Player checks. The gentleman calls. Player checks. The river. All in, $133.
Well, I knew I was good.
The gentleman calls.
I check.
I check.
Check.
Player checks. Turn.
I raise.
Fold.
River.
Fold.
The gentleman wins $268. The madam calls. Player checks.
Flop.
Player checks.
Ha, gotcha.
The miss wins $36.
Raise.
Player checks. The gentleman calls. All in with $136. The gentleman wins $293. The gentleman calls. The flop.
Check.
Turn.
Raise.
Fold.
Raise.
The gentleman calls.
These are real skills.
The gentleman calls. Player checks.
Raise.
The gentleman calls. Turn.
Raise.
The lady calls.
Hey, I'm doing pretty well.
The miss calls. The flop.
Raise.
Fold.
I'm the winner.
The gentleman calls.
Check.
Check.
Turn.
Check.
I check.
The gentleman calls. The river. All in $448. The winner takes $1,331. This player is out of money. Player has left the table. Turn.
I'm the winner.
This player is out of money. Player has left the table.